And welcome back, episode 2, Best Ball Bros podcast. I am Aaron.
I'm Matt.
And we are back with our second episode. We got some fun stuff to do today. We've got some news, some teams we're excited for, teams we're nervous about, and of course our draft that we're doing.
Which platform are we going to be drafting on this week?
This week we're going Underdog Fantasy.
All right, that should be fun.
Yep, so guys, buckle up and we'll have some fun today. Well, I guess we can start with some news.
Hold up.
Okay.
We're going to stop and we're going to discuss what happened the last draft. And I've got a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
I think people that listen to the first episode already know we got to discuss Kyle Pitts. And if I were better at editing, we would be hearing the absolute sound of disgust that came out of your mouth when I even lofted the idea of his ADP is 155.
Okay.
Aaron, please tell me, why aren't you interested in Kyle Pitts at 155 at all? And might I add, we drafted 2 backup running backs at 100 and 133 before we even took a tight end. So please, why are you so eager to hand that grenade to somebody else?
Because it is simply a grenade. I will start this with saying Kyle Pitts is a starting tight end in the National Football League.
He is the unquestioned starter on the Falcons.
Okay. And yes,
he's
not going
to get vultured by any other tight end on the team.
It was his rookie year where he exploded onto the scene, correct?
110 targets, 68 receptions, 1,026 yards, and only 1 touchdown that year.
Only 1 touchdown that year. I saw the stat on X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it.
We're calling it Twitter.
It's Twitter. So I did see the stat on Twitter that every year his touchdown has gone up by 1. Year 1, he had 1 touchdown. Year 2, he had 2 touchdowns, and so forth.
Year 2, he had a pretty bad knee injury, and so that ended his season at 10 games.
Okay. I guess where my stance with, I say, Kyle Pitts, gross Kyle Pitts, I want to vomit Kyle Pitts. It's the simple fact, his rookie year might be the best we saw. We're coming on by year 5, right?
This is year 5.
Okay, so out of the 4 years he's currently played, that first year is the outlier. That first year, when nobody had him figured out, when no defense could figure out what to do with him, he's a unit. He's a monster. We can both agree on that.
He had the nickname the Unicorn.
Yes, because he is. He's a unicorn. But these are the top-notch defenses, the top-notch defensive coordinators. They look at the unicorn, they say, you're going to beat me every way except with the unicorn. I'm betting that rookie year of Kyle Pitts is the best we're ever going to see of Kyle Pitts. And he is going to continue to hurt you. I don't think we have ADP pulled up anywhere right now.
On DraftKings last week, it was 155.
155.
15th round.
So overall ADP 15th round. That's fine. I want to look at the tight ends around him.
We ended up taking Jake Ferguson at 150. You're telling me you think Jake Ferguson is going to be that much better?
It's not that he's going to be that much better. It's that if we're looking at what Kyle Pitts has actually given us, those other tight ends have just as much ability to give those to me, and I'm not expecting the unicorn year out of it.
I can understand that you've been hurt. You probably took him year 2, and that knee injury, and I mean, he only had 400 yards in 10 games. You're probably a little frustrated, and the knee injury on top of it, and then year 3, 600 yards. And I think you've just been burned by this. But my logic is tight end takes the second longest to develop. Quarterback is the hardest position to learn on the field, and they say tight end is the second hardest to learn. And on top of that, this is a contract year. Contract years are when players go all out. They play through injuries you normally wouldn't. They play hard to get the next contract. Granted, he's a first-round tight end, and he's going to get a contract no matter what. That's just how football works. But I think he's going to play harder, and I think just logically it makes sense to me. At 155, I think that's a steal, even if you're taking him as your second tight end.
Okay, so we picked him at 155. His current ADP is 157. So we took him. Right before him, you have Zach Ertz in a Washington offense that give me the piece of that offense, and I can run with that. Right after him, we're talking about Pat Freiermuth or Brenton Strange. There's a lot of hype behind Brenton Strange right now. He's the number one guy in Jacksonville. And I'd rather take a shot on a guy that we can say this is the possibility instead of looking at Kyle Pitts. And here's the thing. You draft Kyle Pitts. He's going to hurt you.
But this is a best ball roster. There are no difficult decisions when it comes to what week is he going to go off. Draft him at the tail end of the draft. Draft him with two other guys. You can draft him with the high guy. You can draft him. You can draft all three bottom barrel guys. Say a K-Dot and a Freiermuth and him even probably have a solid entire year of points.
I can get behind that. But the excitement behind it. I'm not excited for Brenton Strange. I'm not excited for Pat Freiermuth. I'm not really excited about Zach Ertz and the Kyle Pitts.
But the 15th round.
Yeah, the 15th round to get
I'm saying
400 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He is a starter. He's not going to have his position usurped by some young kid we've never heard of. He's got the job. He's going to play.
I'd rather have Mo Alley Cox on my roster.
I disagree. But I guess that's the best we're going to have is agree to disagree on this.
Matt is full on hype train. Kyle Pitts, hop on board.
Look, I just
tight end number one.
I just think I'm not saying tight end number one. I'm just saying that we drafted 2 backup running backs before we looked at taking another tight end. And it just stands to reason. If you're picking backups before him, I like
roster depth before I take a shot on a shitty tight end for your first tight end.
It looks like I'm not going to change your mind on this.
No.
But I'm full in on the Kyle Pitts camp. I've talked myself into this.
Okay. We'll get into some news. And if we're talking about big guys who actually can catch touchdowns, we do have a shout out to make. Mr. Tui Ellie, CFL, Thicc 6 Friday night for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Beautiful little out route in the red zone. Caught himself a touchdown. O-lineman getting himself a Thicc 6. More than what Kyle Pitts can do, sir. So I personally would like to shout out our big guys and getting in the end zone.
Congrats to you, sir.
All right. Any other news you want to chat about before we get started on our excited/nervous about teams?
Well, we touched it earlier last week when we were having our TJ Hawkinson discussion. Jordan Addison just had his jury trial set for July 15th, where he is pleading not guilty. Typically these things, once the jury trial is wrapped up, the NFL will finally decide to levy punishment on these players. And in the past, these have been 3-week suspensions, and players have even been given suspension even when they've been proven not guilty.
Yeah, it's setting the precedent or whatever, or enforcing it.
The NFL doesn't like having its brand tarnished.
Yeah, we can safely assume we're starting with a 3-game suspension.
It might not be the start of the year. They may levy it after week 3 or so.
That'd be ridiculous.
They wait until after the trial happens, and sometimes they grant extensions on trials, and sometimes they push into the season. But I would imagine his lawyer and him would prefer not to get an extension on this.
So with a pending suspension, does that scare you away from taking him in a best ball draft, in a normal draft, 3 games?
Best ball, not so much. In a normal league, I would be a little worried about him, where I had to actually make roster decisions. But
well, yeah, because he can't. It's a suspension. He can't go on IR if you have an IR slot.
Yeah, I think the main problem is going to be a loss of rapport on the field. And so even when he comes back after the suspension, J.J. McCarthy might not be looking for him as much as he does Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Addison is when he does come back, it opens the field up more.
It helps that offense entirely.
So maybe this is more of a reassurance of taking a Hawkinson or taking a Justin Jefferson. You can essentially look at it like I'm getting a little bit of a boost for 3 games.
That's why I push Hawkinson up more my charts, because I think Hawkinson's going to get extra looks because of this. he will be leaned on heavier at points in the season.
Is there a name on the roster, like a third receiver that would step up in his role that you might want to take a shot on late? Or
Naylor had some spots last year.
Last pick of a best ball, would you take a shot at doing something like that?
You could try it, but I'm not certain how much Kevin O'Connell is going to want to open up the offense with this being McCarthy's first year starting. Now, that being said...
Well, he did spend last year learning the offense.
He did, but learning off the field is different than learning on the field. But at the same time, they traded for Josh Dobbs in the middle of the season. 5 games he started.
The Pasternaut.
They had him throw 30 times a game. It was actually insane.
Open it up, man. Open it up.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kevin O'Connell will go insane and just let McCarthy throw all over the field. I'm not buying it, considering they just extended their backup tight end. They bought a whole bunch of offensive linemen, and then they even traded for Jordan Mason. So it sounds like they want to focus a little more on running the ball.
Personally, I think that's better news for Aaron Jones than Jordan Mason. But
I think it helps Aaron Jones more as well.
Give him a breather.
Especially considering that guy can really catch a ball. He's pretty exceptional when it comes not even out of the backfield. He runs routes downfield, and they're pretty.
It's a pretty offense. I'm excited about that offense. Even with the looming suspension and all that stuff, I still like taking McCarthy when I can grab him.
Do we have any other news and notes?
We're in the middle of off season.
It is the quiet part of the season.
It's real quiet. So with it being the quiet part, I thought it'd be fun to talk about maybe a couple teams we're excited for, maybe a couple teams we're real nervous about. Which one would you like to attack first?
Let's start with who we're nervous about.
Oh.
Look,
the mood killer. The mood killer.
Let's just get the bad news out of the way first. I picked the Giants. I'm terrified about the Giants. Their off-season move was to draft Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo. That was the only investment in offense that they had.
They picked up Russell Wilson.
They picked up Russell Wilson.
They have Jameis Winston. That's for fantasy, the best option's going to be Jameis Winston.
He is, but, you know...
They're not going to play him, though.
You know, offensive coordinators at the same time, they're conservative at heart.
Yes.
And when they see the ball get turned over, they pucker up and they don't let that guy back on the field. So they don't want the 30 for 30 Jameis drain out there.
Give me the 30 for 30 Jameis drain with Malik Neighbors catching all those balls.
It would be more fun, but this is actually my next point that I was going to go into. You brought up Malik Neighbors. He saw 170 targets last year. Puka Nacua, his rookie year, saw 160 targets. Malik Neighbors saw 10 extra, and then Puka Nacua ended up missing 5 games. He played the first game of the season, then missed 5 games after that.
Well,
and
also
that's just because of the workload. Rookie wide receivers typically aren't used to the workload that an NFL season takes. I'm worried about an injury scare.
Yes.
Just because of the massive amount of workload he took.
Well, that massive amount of workload is also with the concussion he had last year. I think it was 2 concussions last year.
Did he really?
Yeah, I'm probably wrong about that. I know for sure it was 1.
Okay.
For sure 1. I know he missed 1 game.
And that's
if not a couple more.
That's part of what scares me about the Giants is if you remove Malik Neighbors, man, that passing offense looks absolutely dreadful.
And I did see just a little blip of news that, of course, you draft a rookie quarterback first round. They're talking he may start sometime. NFL teams quit doing that.
Absolutely. The smart thing for the Giants would be just roll out Russell Wilson for the rest of the season.
No. Jameis Winston.
That would be more fun. Jameis would be more fun, but Russell Wilson just has the pedigree of a starter compared to Jameis.
He does have the Super Bowl.
Yes, he does. So the smart thing would be to let Wilson play all of next year. Let Jackson Dart just get used to an NFL program, an NFL playbook, NFL weight room, learn on the bench. That would be the smartest thing for them to do. However, they are probably looking at losing their jobs.
Not to backtrack, but the point of this, us talking about these teams, were how we feel. So we're not trying to throw a bunch of stats into these. We're just a gut feeling on these things. And you're saying your gut feeling is New York football Giants are going to be just a train wreck.
I think it's bad just because it's unfortunately likely that Malik Neighbors misses time this year. And without him, he was he was a very large portion of their offense. He was nearly 30% of all yards that they had last year.
Well, that, and when you get one-dimensional, let's say Tyrone Tracy's, Cam Scadaboo, whoever else they have on that running back roster, when you get one-dimensional, you can stack the box and it's game over. And if you're throwing a rookie quarterback into all that, there's just not enough production out of this offense in that scenario that I would necessarily... I don't think I'd want that, but I'd still take Malik Neighbors when I can.
I'm not wishing an injury on him. I'm just scared when I take him.
Yes. I'm taking him with the thought process, maybe next round I also want a receiver.
Load up.
Yes.
If you're going to take Malik Neighbors, look at taking Chris Godwin late like we did last week. All right, let's hear your team you're nervous about.
Miami Dolphins.
With the number of injuries that Tua's had, I totally get it.
Yeah, well, and... the sad thing is, Tua is just part of it. Now, like the instance with the Giants, I think Dable's a great coach. Mm-hmm. I think Mike McDaniel's a great coach.
Players buy into what he says.
Yes.
And that is important.
But what scares me is his team and his offense has been hot and cold. You get 2 years ago, Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, they're top fantasy producers.
If you had a Miami Dolphin 2 years ago, you were set.
Well, even last year, Jonnu Smith was the only good part about that offense, but still hot. You take Tyreek Hill as your first receiver last year because you're like, I got to get a piece of this offense, and then he disappears.
It hurt.
It hurt everybody. The thing that scares me the most, and just watching Tua's head bounce is gut-wrenching when it happens. That's a huge fear because then your offense just takes a whole nother level down when you do that.
There aren't even 32 quarterbacks ready to play in the NFL, and now you're rolling into backup quarterback territory.
That's what makes me nervous. The high is as high as you can get, but that low kills you. It kills your roster. It kills your depth on your roster. And these guys are still high enough ADP-wise to where when you're looking at them on the draft board, man, I could get Tyreek Hill.
You got burned by him last year.
Burnt me like I left it in the microwave for 25 minutes. It was ridiculous. I mean, even Jalen Waddle, that's a whole nother injury bug. But if I can get Jalen Waddle on a roster, I feel pretty good about having these guys on rosters. It's just now you play the game, am I getting what I want and what I know can happen? Or am I getting the awfulness that was last year? And the thing that trips me up is that it almost feels like the offense is kind of gadgety. It feels like, and granted, I'm in the thought process too, speed kills. But it's another scenario where I see all this speed, but I got to get a yard. And you're seeing that offense not be able to get a yard. The tried and true, when the Miami Dolphins get cold, they're not what they are.
Yeah, at the end of the year, they've always kind of tapered off.
They make me nervous, and they make me nervous to the point where I see a Tua, I see a Tyreek Hill, I see a Jalen Waddle, I see an A-Chain. I'm almost betting against it just because I don't want the headache.
That was the title of the segment. Teams we're nervous about, and that's understandable. You're backing away.
Yeah, perfect way to describe it. I'm backing away. I'm nervous about it. I'd rather take a shot on something that I believe in instead of something I know can hurt me, and I'm almost betting that it's going to.
All right.
I see that the team you're excited for does not help with what we talked about earlier.
Well, I got to say, you noticed I dug deep a little bit on Kyle Pitts. And the more I looked at it, the team I'm excited about is actually Atlanta. They brought back almost their entire offensive line. They brought back Drake London. They brought back Ray McLeod. Kyle Pitts returning. They brought back Darnell Mooney. Almost that entire offense is returning except for Kirk Cousins. And I think it's pretty easy to argue that Michael Penix should be a step up compared to a hampered Kirk Cousins last year. So I'm excited about the Falcons. I am actually more interested in taking more Falcons this year.
Okay, you said Michael Penix is an obvious step up in your mind from a Kirk Cousins. So
a hampered Kirk Cousins. He was fighting that Achilles all year long. He doesn't have an arm. He throws with pretty much his entire body. And when he couldn't use the lower half of his body to throw, he just couldn't throw to the corners of the field.
Okay.
And Michael Penix, we
didn't even talk about Bijan Robinson, and we grab him everywhere.
We take him everywhere. He had 400 yards receiving last year, too. That entire offense, I think it's just, they thought that they were getting the engine to that offense when they paid Kirk Cousins all that money. but I think they drafted the engine to that offense with Michael Penix because he took the Washington Huskies and brought them up to almost the national title game. And they are typically not a team that's ranked, and
well,
I can't.
Not recently. There was a run where they were the dominant football program up there
a long time ago.
Yeah,
but
before our time, at least.
Before our time. So I'm excited about a quarterback that puts a team that wasn't normally on the map back on the map. So, and when we were talking a couple years ago about quarterbacks we like, I was excited about Penix, and I was hoping that the Vikings could draft him.
Yes. I think last episode we were looking at quarterbacks, and you said that Penix was an explosive option late that you liked.
I do like him.
And so I understand we took in Bijan everywhere. I love Drake London.
Drake London had a lot of targets, a lot of catches.
Darnell Mooney is a guy that we get late quite often that I love getting Darnell Mooney in everywhere.
He almost had 1,000 yards receiving last year.
Yes.
And that's a wide receiver too.
Yes. So I just don't like Kyle Pitts.
It looks like I'm still not convincing you on this.
If they drafted Tyler Warren to play tight end for them, I'd be all in. But it's Kyle Pitts.
Look, I'm counting on the contract year with Kyle Pitts.
He has hijacked this show already.
Contract year means something.
Okay. So you are excited about your Atlanta Falcons.
They're a team I'm looking to take many players on that offense.
Okay.
And we've talked about, we've taken Bijan multiple teams.
Well, I'm excited about a team that I'm not even sure are going to play in the States much longer. Can we call them the London Jags? Can we call them that yet?
They seem to play there almost twice a year. And hand up, you called Jags before I did, and that made me pivot to the Falcons. I also was like, hey, the Jags, they might do something this year. So I've already bought into this, and I agree. The only concern is Trevor Lawrence. Missing part of last year. Okay, so sell me.
That is
more.
The pivot. Yes, that is the pivot to the excitement. But let me argue the excitement first. It's hard to say we can follow the line with a building offense because new coach.
Is it new head coach or is it just OC?
New head coach. The guy from Tampa, his name is escaping me.
Liam Cohen.
Yes. You take the best college football player last year and you draft him to be your second receiver behind Brian Thomas Jr. That's awesome. You have ETN, which he killed everybody last year, I know, but he showed you 2 years ago he can be everything in an offense that you want him to be.
He's an all-around back.
And he's lightning, and we can talk about Tank Bigsby being thunder. I love Tank Bigsby late. When you have a name like Tank, we're hanging a jersey somewhere for you.
Look, there were points in last year on your normal fantasy teams that if you could grab Tank Bigsby off of the waiver wire, you were spending anything you could if you were in a league where you had to spend capital to get him. There were some bidding wars to get him.
Yes. So, and we did talk about the snippet of Britton Strange being the new tight end. So they've got weapons, right? They've got everything that you want in an offense to say that. The part of my excitement is in one of my leagues, my Dynasty League, I traded for Brian Thomas Jr. Mm-hmm. He's easily the star in Jacksonville/London. I think he continues to increase, and this is where it gets a little tricky because he did do a lot of that with Mac Jones last year and Trevor Lawrence. Part of my excitement is we get to see what Trevor Lawrence.
Hopefully he will finally get a steady time with a head coach.
Yes.
That is an offensive mind as well.
Yes. So if Brian Thomas Jr. can do that with Mac Jones, he could do it with Trevor Lawrence. Like let's close that circle right now.
You touched on it. Camp reports Brenton Strange possibly taking Evan Ingram's spot because he's
got to take a spot. He's not there anymore.
They've been hyping him up a little bit.
Well, it's hype season.
It is hype season,
and we're not going to talk about your camp video hype.
But it's a name to monitor.
Yes, name to monitor. We grab him late. Full disclosure, we grabbed K. Dotton a lot late, and that's kind of based off of what he did for Liam Cohen in Tampa. You know, you can't laterally move it, but if we're moving a K. Dotton to Britton Strange, I like it.
It's a trend.
Yes, it's a trend. So I'm excited about the Jags. I'm excited to finally, after so many years, be able to, at the end of this year at least, look at it and be like, they're the team. They got the quarterback. They're going to make London look great. Or they are going to be searching for a quarterback at the end of it. I like taking Bigsby late. I made moves to acquire Brian Thomas Jr. I don't mind taking a shot at Brenton Strange. Travis Hunter, easily the best college football player last year, and he's your receiver 2/cornerback. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I imagine he plays some slot with a lot of corner. Even just getting that weapon on the field opens everything. So I'm excited about that offense. They play Tennessee twice, and they play Indianapolis twice.
Easy chances for points.
I'll stack those 4 games and maybe figure out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Jacksonville Jags. You're excited for the Atlanta Falcons. Super nervous. Super nervous about the New York Football Giants and the Miami. Guys, if you want to give us a second, we will get our draft pulled up. Again, we're going to be doing an Underdog fantasy draft this week.
Okay, we are back entering into an Underdog draft. So one thing to note with Underdog, there are only 18 roster spots compared to DraftKings. There's 20 roster spots.
Yes. So with that in mind, what do you think roster management wise? When I think of that, I think of maybe, depending on who we get at tight end and quarterback, maybe just rostering 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and then backfilling the depth. Or do we...
Personally, I would rather just cut a tight end and running back, because last week we drafted 2 Las Vegas Raiders at the end of it. Now, granted, been a little bit of hype out of those.
Yes,
2.
yeah.
Both of those guys, they're starting to
Yes.
they're starting to get positive hype. I'd probably rather cut off the bottom of depth and probably keep the same number of quarterbacks, keep the same number of tight ends. Personally,
Okay. So I like that idea.
Oh, there we go.
And we are full. Draft is starting. We are
8.
pick 8. Okay, so a little further down than what we've gotten. Oh man, that has us with the fun question of a possible Puka, a CMC, or a Malik Neighbors. Or an Ashton Genty. We got a little bit to talk about some of those guys. We've kind of gotten our Malik Neighbors fill for this episode.
Look, if we take Malik Neighbors, at least we know he's going to get the ball.
Yes! I mean, the possibility of pairing him up with Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London combo, that would be fun. That'd be 2 weeks in a row where we've gone receiver heavy. McCaffrey scares me. The scariest part is McCaffrey can be everything you need to win a best ball competition, a best ball league, a regular league. He can be everything that you need, or he can be what he was last year.
I think it'd be more fun to take Christian McCaffrey than Jahmyr Gibbs.
There, Justin Jefferson going pick 4, up in 3 picks. I don't want McCaffrey as our one.
What about Ashton Genty? Who else is going to get the ball in Vegas?
There goes McCaffrey. So we are on the clock, 25 seconds. Puka, Malik Neighbors, Ashton Genty.
I don't think we've taken Genty yet.
We'll take Genty here. Maybe with taking Genty, we go a hero ball kind of build. He's going to be everything that we kind of want for a running back, and maybe take some shots at receivers next couple rounds.
There's been a lot of viable receivers late, so maybe...
Well, here comes the turn. There goes Brian Thomas Jr. and Drake. That guy got Brian Thomas Jr. and Drake London. I love that combination.
Do you want A.J. Brown or Brock Bowers?
Do you want to do Ladd?
I had him last year. I was pretty happy. He had a lot of work.
Let's see what this does. Let's see a Ashton Genty, Ladd McConkey. Hoping for an upside on Ladd as opposed to what maybe A.J. Brown might be if that offense falls off a little bit after the Super Bowl year. Up at 4 picks now. Chase Brown, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kyron Williams. Are we going to be the biggest Kyron Williams fans this year?
If you're following us on Twitter, we quote tweeted somebody talking about Kyron Williams. It just seems like he's going to get everything.
Just give him the contract. I'd feel so much better if they just gave him the contract. Give him the contract.
Make him work for it.
Yeah.
Make him work for it.
Also
I love
that.
it. I love it.
But
then when you give him that contract, reward him for all that work.
So, an Ashton Genty, Ladd McConkey. I feel like we're taking shots with this roster so far.
We've gone a little different than normal.
Yes.
But want to roll back to Kyron Williams?
Yeah, I feel better. We're going to take him right here.
So we've got Ashton Genty, Kyron Williams, Ladd McConkey.
Up in 4 picks. Okay, so we're up in a pick. Breece Hall, Jaden Daniels, James Cook, Jamison Williams, DK Metcalf, Devontae Smith. How are you feeling?
Kind of hoping Breece falls to us. With all of the late round wide receivers we've seen, I feel safer taking Breece Hall right now.
Let's let the auto pick roll and grab him. So, Underdog, roster-wise, you play 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a flex, and a tight end with 10 bench spots. We've got our running backs, so we almost need to now take running back off the board for a while for us.
I'm good with it. I'm feeling good with Kyron and Breece Hall.
Yeah, so I like those guys. That kind of gives us the freedom to take shots late with the rookies. Running back wise, backups, rookies, in best ball, they'll get you what you need. With only having Ladd McConkey
I mean, assuming they're not going as high as Travis Hunter is right now with a 47 ADP.
Yeah. Again, we had to talk. He might play slot.
I think they're gonna play him more at defense personally, but we'll find out.
Yeah, that's unfortunately is going to be a wait and see. With the way our roster looks now, I think we could take shots at rookies late, maybe some backup guys late. With those 3 stud running backs, we've got to build some receiver depth and maybe start after maybe a couple of receivers look at tight end. But with this kind of roster build, I almost want to punt the tight end position for sure and just take a couple guys late to really sure, because we play 3 receivers. So getting 4 or 5 receivers that you feel super good about. Am I over planning it too much?
No.
So
look, there's nothing wrong with having a plan, just understanding when you need to pivot from that.
We unfortunately have to pivot a lot, so I don't. We're up in 3 picks. George Pickens, Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle are kind of the receivers. Rome Odunze, Jordan Addison are still there. Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, RJ Harvey's there. I want him, but I don't want him on this roster.
I think Rome Odunze is going to come away as the number 1 wide receiver in Chicago, so I'd be happy taking him here. But how do you feel about it?
Is there a way he comes back to us on the turn?
His ADP is sitting at 61, and we are up in 1 pick at
56. And then when do we pick again? At 65.
So unlikely.
I know, and we're up. Jalen Waddle's on the board. Grab Rome Odunze here.
Okay.
You like him. There's a shot Chicago's good. We talked about it last week. You are more confident about this offense than I am. I think next year we're going to want these guys, not so much this year.
Even if there's kinks in the offense, I think he will be the most productive wide receiver that Chicago has. So I agree with you. Chicago may be a juggernaut next year. Offensively, but he'll get a lot of work. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Lions, I think he will port into that role for Ben Johnson.
So we're up in 2 picks, and part of why I said grab Odunze is because the next little batch of receivers we're looking at: Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Chris Olave, Jerry Jeudy. There goes Jordan Addison. Chris Godwin or Chris Olave for this pick. We are now up. Jerry Jeudy, Debo, Jacoby Myers. I'm not interested in those guys. This is going to be between Chris Godwin and Chris Olave for me. I'm taking Chris Olave here.
All right, probably would be the number 1 wide receiver with the Saints.
Yes, I think that's easily. Rashid Shaheed's the deep threat. That's going to be what's good for this roster.
Okay, so with our next pick, looking at it, we are going to be drafting at 80. TJ Hawkinson's ADP is 87. Can I talk you into taking TJ Hawkinson at 87? I know you don't like taking tight end early. I know you are a scrape the bottom of the barrel, whereas I am more of a pay up to get the premier tight end, because when you have one of the best 3 and everybody else is praying that their tight end catches a touchdown, then I like it. So how do you feel about taking TJ Hawkinson at 80 with an ADP of 87? Or would you rather take a wide receiver at...
I would rather take a wide receiver at 80 and then hope that Hawkinson falls to us on the turn.
Here's some names around 80. Is Jaden Reed, Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk. You like those names? Darnell Mooney.
I like
Darnell Mooney. Darnell is 85.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney is the name.
Cooper Kupp with the Seahawks this year.
Yeah, I don't like that. Michael Pittman. See, this is that gross.
This is my argument right now. We're looking at a whole lot of names where Darnell Mooney is the only one that stands out to us, where we're just like, hey, he might do something. I'm a little higher on Ayuk than you are, but I'm still going to say I would rather take TJ Hawkinson over an Ayuk. So
yeah, I can see that train of thought.
If he's still on the board, can I sell you on taking TJ Hawkinson?
Up in 6 picks, so we have a second. I think you will be able to, but if we're just looking at how we've built the roster so far, this is where I think that Breece Hall pick hurts.
By taking a tight end?
No, because our receivers are Lad McConkey and Rome Odunze and Chris Olave. Where we picked Breece Hall, we should have taken a more secure receiver in our receiver, because our receiver room, I don't feel confident about the receiver.
Well, that's what the rest of the draft is for.
Okay.
One pick away.
I'll let you hijack this and take Hawkinson here.
He is gone.
He's gone.
He was taken 3 picks ago.
Okay, so
now
I say take Jaden Reed here.
Okay, panic pick. We're taking Jaden Reed.
Not panic pick.
I'm upset.
Upset because you didn't get Hockenson. But
that guy, I thought reaching 5 spots ahead, and he took him 3 spots ahead of us.
Yes. So I think we can both agree we're punting tight end now.
Unfortunately.
We're up in 8 picks. Jacoby Myers is on the road. Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney, Josh.
I would have rather taken Khalil Shakir.
Josh Downs. Brian Robinson Jr. is the guy. I think I should have made him the guy I want everywhere last week. His ADP's 88. He's going to be the running back 1 on this.
We were happy where we got him last week.
Do we take Brian Robinson Jr. here? No. Okay. Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones are still there. Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney, Cooper Kupp. Out of these guys, I don't love any of the receiver names. I mean, we talked about Darnell Mooney. Aaron Jones, it looks like we might be picking between Aaron Jones, Darnell Mooney, Brian Robinson Jr., Cooper Kupp. Okay, the decision is going to be Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., Cooper Kupp. I say let's go Aaron Jones or Brian Robinson Jr. here.
I really like Aaron Jones.
I like either of them, so we'll take Aaron Jones here. But for sure, no more running backs. we just went 4 running backs, and I don't love our receiver room at all.
Okay, how about Keon Coleman, 102, Rashad Bateman, 111, Kyle Williams, New England, possibly going to be the wide receiver 1.
No, a name that's falling, or it hasn't fallen yet, but that I'm hoping's falling is the Jaden Higgins, the rookie for Houston. He's a guy that I have my eye on. Bo Nix, Justin Fields, Brock Purdy are kind of the quarterbacks right now. Rashid Shaheed, there's no way we're pairing Rashid Shaheed with this roster, with taking Olave. Do you want to grab one of these mobile quarterbacks with Kyler Murray, Bo Nix, Justin Fields, and saying, there's our quarterback, we'll take a shot at quarterback late, and then we can try to booster this receiver room? As we're speaking, Bo Nix just goes off the bill, or Baker Mayfield just goes off the board. The Tampa rookie, Abuke, I'm pronouncing that wrong. I know I am. He's just went off the board too, so we're up in 6 picks. There goes Kyler Murray too, so we're up at 4 picks.
We are up at 104.
Jaden Higgins might still be here, taking a lot of shots with receivers this roster, but I feel like we have to now. He's going to be the 2 in Houston.
104. So possibly Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff at 117. What are your thoughts?
Well, Higgins just went off the board.
If they auto-pick Justin Fields, how do you feel about picking Keon Coleman?
That was going to be my thing.
Right, we're taking Keon Coleman.
We don't
got to twist my arm for that.
Yeah, we need pass catchers. We can piece together 3 quarterbacks late and say, we'll take a shot on one of the rookie quarterbacks or something, and that has some upside. 9 roster spots in, and I still don't feel great about our receiver room.
So we pick up 113.
Dak Prescott there interests me. Drake May's there. Okay, so we're up on the board. So we got Mark Andrews, Caleb Williams, Travis Etienne Jr., Najee Harris, Luther Burden's here.
Do you want to take Dak? And then we could possibly, with the next pick, take like a Herbert or a Love.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate that. Okay, that's fine.
Who did we take? We took Travis Etienne.
That's where 30 seconds kills us. I'm sorry. That's on me, guys. So we end up with Travis Etienne Jr. Okay, so we have 5 running backs now. I don't think we need another one the rest of the draft. There's upside with Travis Etienne Jr. if he's everything that he can possibly be. What pick are we up at? I know you were looking. We're up in 11 pick.
128.
So that has us looking. Okay, so that I'm not panicking too much. Justin Herbert's still there. Jordan Love's still there. That's Dak Prescott's still falling. So I don't hate the Travis Etienne Jr. It's just we have 5 running backs on this roster now.
Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot. When I said the name, I thought you were going to take them.
That's fine. There's still quarterbacks here. So here goes quarterbacks. There goes Justin Herbert. So Jared Goff, Jordan Love are still there. I mean, Marvin Mims Jr. and Christian Kirk at receiver. I don't love those. If we can sneak Jared Goff in here, I'll take it. It's just every part of New England scares me. New England, that's another one of the rosters. It's just because you don't know.
I guess that's what my question was about to be. Is you were interested in taking Drake May, but you don't want to take any shots on who he's gonna throw the ball to.
Like you said, it's more taking a shot.
We are up in the next pick.
Jared Goff or Jordan Love looks like that might be the conversation.
Do you want to take Jordan Love?
He's a little bit more mobile.
Okay.
So we'll take Jordan Love here.
His ADP is 127. We just took him at 128.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jared Goff's ADP must be drastically changing. His ADP, according to Underdog, is 117, and he is still on the board at 129.
There he goes.
Okay, so hey, 134. T-Law on the board. And that's in... How do you feel about that, pairing the two of them together, if he's still there?
So I think we need to keep an eye out on tight end.
We do.
Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert, Isaiah Likely, Jake Ferguson are all here. Receiver-wise, you're looking at Quentin Johnston, Xavier Legette, Josh Palmer.
They must be way down the board.
Yeah, I'm looking.
147 for Quentin Johnson, Xavier Legette 148. Okay,
there's Tajay Spears, there's Ray Davis, there's Trey Benson. At least now, ADP wise and all that stuff, I'm liking the thought process of early receivers, late running. Because there's options running back here, and there's not a lot of receivers here. There's a lot of tight ends.
Okay,
here.
We're on the board. Do you want to take Goddard or Ferguson?
No thought on Kincaid or Njoku in Cleveland. Someone's got to catch.
Sure, let's take Njoku.
Okay, so we got Njoku.
We are 14 picks away.
Okay, so that gives us some time to rethink our strategy. So we have Jordan Love at quarterback. We have David Njoku at tight end. Our running back room, we have Genty, Kyron, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne Jr.
Last week, we took Sam Darnold really late, and I'm actually kind of buying in on best ball, taking him at like 180.
Okay.
That might actually work really well.
Is that our next pick?
No,
okay.
not at all. I'm talking his ADP is 180.
Okay.
And right now they're in the 140s.
Okay.
But somebody to keep your eyes on, or even a Geno Smith, 163.
Okay.
But he's a guy that people just aren't high on, and he's in a similar style offense.
So we only have 6 more picks.
But we need another quarterback.
At
least one more quarterback.
At least one more quarterback. At least one more tight end. There's 2 more picks. Either 4 more receivers, or maybe go 3 more receivers and take a shot at a late running back. What with best ball, if you're only taking 2 spots, what are the bye weeks of Green Bay and the Browns?
That is a really good question. Jordan Love's bye is week 5.
When we're talking about only drafting 2 of these guys, we need to eyeball that.
Yeah. So Njoku week 9 for ADP.
If we're only going to take 1 more of each of those positions, we need to kind of eyeball that. We're up at 5 picks. Dalton Kincaid, Isaiah Likely, Michael Penix Jr.
I like him.
But his bye week's 5, so we would have to take a third quarterback.
Sam Darnold's bye week is week 8.
If Michael Penix is here in 3 picks, I don't mind that. Going Love, Penix, and then another guy late. 3 picks away, and then we have the turn. Yeah,
If Penix gets taken off the board in front of us, is there a name you're seeing? Okay, Penix is available.
I almost want Cedric Tillman more than I was, because we need receiver.
I don't know a lot about Tillman.
I know he's in Cleveland. He'll catch the ball. You know what? I don't want to second guess myself. Michael Penix sounded like a good plan.
Okay, so
we're gonna need a third quarterback for sure.
So we need wide receivers and tight ends right now.
Yes. At least. Kyle Pitts is there.
We're up in 5
picks. Kyle Pitts is still there. His bye week's 5, so it would work with Njoku if you want to roll 2 tight ends.
I've sold myself on Kyle Pitts. I think he's worth a shot, but I'm working uphill against you. But even still, we'd be picking at 161. And his ADP is 156 on Underdog.
I know your argument is ADP. I think you throw ADP out the window with this kid. This is one of those guys, you either love him or hate him. I hate him. You love him.
It's not so much that I love him. I'm just saying he's the unquestioned starter.
I mean, you've got Zach Ertz still here. You got Hunter Henry still here. Brandon Strange still here.
What are their ADPs? Because we could also take them.
I mean, 163 for Brenton Strange, 169 for Hunter Henry, 173 for Zach Ertz. We're up in a pick. Pat Bryant, Adam Thielen, Demario Douglas, Alec Pierce.
We're on the clock. Can I sell you on Kyle Pitts?
Take Pitts here.
I believe. I'm buying contract here.
This might be the last episode we ever talk about Kyle Pitts. He's hijacked this entire episode. It's ridiculous.
It's the Kyle Pitts episode. Jalen Noel on the board.
We're up in 3 picks, though. Alec Pierce, he catches deep bombs in Indianapolis.
At 176, I don't hate taking Jalen Noel just because Pat Bryant was just taken in front of him.
I like Alec Pierce more than I like Jalen Noel.
I'm just throwing out there that right now there's an open spot in Houston's offense.
There's not an open spot. Jaden Higgins is going to take that spot. He's bigger than Nico Collins, and he's going to be on the opposite side of Nico Collins.
Sizes and everything. So you're more sold in taking Alex Pierce.
Yes. For best ball.
For best ball?
We don't have to play him every week.
Right, we're on the clock.
Yeah.
Jalen Noel, Alex Pierce.
I'm hijacking this. You took Kyle Pitts. I'm taking Alex Pierce.
I kind of want to liked Jalen Noel more.
Well, he might fall. I mean, we got 8 more picks. He might still fall.
I've got it sorted entirely just for wide receivers right now. So
okay, so I'm gonna you eyeball that. All right, I'm gonna kind of read it off. We got Jordan Love and Michael Penix as our quarterbacks.
Are we dead set on taking Sam Darnold? Because
we only have 3 more picks. So
I'm just throwing out there, if we want a safe floor at quarterback, Sam Darnold's still on the board. We typically like 3 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks. If we lose Love or Penix with an injury, would you feel entirely safe running the entire season? Actually, Penix and Love at the same bye week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take a third.
We're up in 4.
We can't take Aaron Rodgers because he's got bye week 5. We're up in a pick.
Should we take Sam Darnold right now? He's on the board.
Yeah, we have to figure out something for week 5.
Okay,
because NFL schedules everybody off by week 5.
Sam Darnold taken. We are completely off the board for quarterback.
Yep, and
we're completely off the board for running back. So we want wide receivers and tight ends.
Maybe tight ends.
We're kind of penciling K-Dotton in for our last pick.
So we have 18 spots. We've got 3 quarterbacks, 6 receivers, 5 running backs, and 2 tight ends.
Okay, so when is our next pick?
So we only have 2 more picks.
200?
We only have 2 more picks. So if we go...
How would you feel about Dante Thornton? We took him again last week.
Oh,
take him again? Or is there a different name you're seeing on the board? Tyler Lockett, Tutu Atwell, Adonai Mitchell, Ray McLeod,
Dontavian Wicks. But that's...
I recognize the name. Yoshivas? Andre Yoshivas?
I like Yosivas. I like Yosivas, but I like Yosivas because Cincinnati doesn't know how to play defense, and eventually those... Jamar Chase and Higgins. And
how would you feel about taking Dante Thornton if he's still in or is there a different name you see anywhere on here? Because we're taking we have to take a Elijah Moore. Don't we already have a bill?
Yes, we already have a bill. Out of these names, taking a shot at a Dante Thornton. Camp News is good. He's big. I like big receivers.
I'll star him, and
he's working with starters as of 5 days ago. So breaking news. He's working with starters.
We'll take him again at the tail end of the draft at 200.
Yeah, 200, and then that leaves us with 1 more pick, which
we're saying we want to do K-Dot for a nice safe floor, so to make you feel a little bit better about the pits. Okay, we're on the board. Dante Thornton, take him.
Yeah, go ahead and grab him. I don't want to say just tight end. Let me double check. This is our last pick? Yes, this is our last pick. I want to look at the board looking at the board and say what is the best name on the board outside of a quarterback that we say grabbing late he can produce something for.
Kind of sold myself on a safe floor, unless if
Noah Gray is a guy that I kind of get excited about late like this, just because maybe Kelsey decides he doesn't want to do football anymore. I don't know. I mean, Kareem Hunt is here. Keaton Mitchell, Blake Corum, DJ Giddens, Dontavian Wicks is the guy that kind of sticks out. Roman Wilson.
We are up in 1 pick.
Ray McLeod, Amari Cooper, Troy Franklin. We're up. We're going to take Ray McLeod here.
Okay.
And I know you know that I like stacks, and that gives us a little stack with Penix, Ray McLeod. Maybe they have a boom game or 2. And in best ball, especially your last pick of a best ball draft, that's all you're hoping for.
I'm hyped on the Falcon. I don't hate it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter. Have a great night.
Good night.